Hello students, so in this particular video we are going to discuss about the theories which are very important for your board examinations of the chapter electrostatic potential and capacitance. Namely 4 to 5 theories are very important, like parallel plate capacitor, energy stored in a charge capacitor, potential energy of a dipole placed in uniform electric field. And one more question, potential energy of system of charges. These are the main theories which are very frequently asked in board exam, right? We'll discuss all the answers. Let us start with parallel plate capacitor, right? And how to derive the formula for parallel plate capacitor. See, capacitor, or it is also known as condenser. Clear? Okay, what is parallel plate capacitor? First answer, you know, capacitor is a device which is used to store energy, right, between the plates in the form of electric field or between the electric field. Clear? Parallel plate capacitor. So you must have studied the basic formula of capacitance. Capacitance is Q upon V, right? Q upon V. Capacitance. V means the potential difference between two plates. Like if suppose this one is these are two conducting spheres separated by some distance. Let the potential of this sphere be V1, let this be V2. So capacitance is actually defined as magnitude wise Q upon V1 minus V2. Right? In your book, the formula is given as C is equals to Q by V. Actually, total charge on the capacitor is 0 because one of the plate will be having positive charge, other will be having negative charge. So total charge, this forms a capacitor. So total charge on the capacitor will be 0. So whenever you are writing Q by V, Q represents the magnitude of charge. Clear? And V means the potential difference. That means Q upon V1 minus V2. Potential difference between two plates. Clear? Fine. Now, what is parallel plate capacitor and how to calculate the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor? Okay, consider two plates of area A. This is the area of the plate. This be the distance between the plates. This distance is kept very less than the area. That means two plates of area A are kept very close to each other. Very close to each other. This distance is very less in order to remove the non-uniformity of electric field. Right? Okay. Now, initially plates are not charged, they are uncharged. Suppose if I am connecting this with the help of a battery, you don't have to write these things in your answer. I am connecting it with the help of a battery, right? Let us say this as first plate, this as second plate. So this is positive terminal of the battery. This is neutral plate. So electrons from this plate will be attracted. They will be attracted by the battery and they are being forced from this plate. They are being forced to move from this plate to this plate. Since this is this is the positive terminal of the battery, so it will be attracting the electrons from the neutral plate, and these electrons will be moving inside the wire and will be coming here. So second plate is receiving few electrons, so it will be negatively charged. This will be positively charged. Clear? This is how the charge on the plates of the capacitors are being obtained, right? You can directly start your answer this way. that keep two plates of same area, let the distance between them be d, let the distance between them be d, and one plate is positively charged, another is negatively charged. Okay, fine, right? The electric field will be from plus to minus. Okay, this is your first plate, this is your second plate. Clear? Yes, of course, the distance between the plate is kept very less as compared to area, right? Okay, suppose we need to calculate the electric field at this point P. How to calculate the electric field at this point? So electric field at point P will be electric field because of first plate plus electric field because of second plate. Clear? On the first plate positive charge is there, so electric field at point P will be towards right, and on the second plate it is having negative charge, so its electric field at point P will be in the same direction, right? Since the area of the plate is very large as compared to the distance, we can use the formula of uniformly charged infinite plane sheet that was in the previous chapter, sigma by 2 epsilon 0. Clear? I know the plate is not infinitely long, but infinite is a relative concept. If I am placing a dot here, then I can say that in comparison to the size of the dot, the size of the board is infinite. But in comparison to me, the size of the board is not infinite. You are understanding? Right? That means with respect to this point, the size of the board is considered as infinite. In the same way, since the distance between two plates is very less as compared to the area of the plate, so we'll take this plate to be infinitely long charged plate. So what is the electric field for that? Sigma by 2 epsilon naught plus sigma by 2 epsilon naught. Clear? Sigma, that is surface charge density, charge on the plate divided by area, charge per unit area. So electric field will be sigma by epsilon naught, right? What is the potential difference between two plates? Potential difference, generally the formula of potential difference is V2 minus V1 equals to minus of 1 to 2 E dot dr, right? But since we will not require integration here because both the plates are very nearer to each other, right? This is the first plate, this is the second plate, so the potential difference will be very less. We will not need any kind of integration. Clear? So with this formula, we'll write it as V is equals to, V means the potential difference between first and second plate is electric field dot D, E dot D. What is E? Sigma by epsilon naught into D. This is equals to V. Now once again, what is sigma? Q by A. So it will be Q D upon epsilon naught A. Clear? We have to calculate the capacitance. C is Q by V. So V by Q is equals to D upon epsilon naught A. This is 1 by C. So C will be epsilon naught A by D. C is epsilon naught A upon D. So this is the second answer. Energy stored by a capacitor. This is also important answer, very frequently asked. See, what is the derivation and how a capacitor stores energy, right? We'll consider parallel plate, right? Parallel. Okay. This is the capacitor. These are the two conducting plates of area A and the distance between the plates be D. Okay, see, capacitor stores energy between the two plates, right, in the form of electric field. Electrical energy will be stored, right? And for gaining charge on the plates of the capacitor, for storing energy on the plates of the capacitor, some work has to be done, right? This work will be done by the battery. So we'll understand this way. Say first plate, second plate, right? They are initially neutral plate. Right? That means there are no charges on the face of the either of the plate. They are having equal number of plus, equal number of minus. Suppose I am transferring a charge, a very small charge dq. I am transferring a very small positive charge dq from second plate to first plate. Clear? Okay. So when a charge dq is being transferred from second plate to first plate, this is your first plate, this is your second plate. A positive charge dq is being transferred from second to first. So this plate will gain positive charge, this will gain negative charge. Okay, the distance between them is d. This was okay. Electric field will be developed between the plates from plus to minus. Now if another dq charge, if I am transferring another dq charge from second to plus, so now some work has to be done, because the second plate is negatively charged. So when I am transferring a dq charge, which is positive, the negative plate will try to attract this charge. Also already on the first plate a positive charge is established. So when I am trying to place another positive charge, it will repel, right? So that means in order to transfer a charge dq now from second plate to first plate, some work has to be done against this force. Clear? Once again, a second plate is the first plate, a dq charge when it is being transferred from second to first plate, already positive charge is there on the first plate. This positive charge will repel this charge. So the force of repulsion, against the force of repulsion, a charge dq has to be transferred from 2 to 1, and for this some work has to be done. This work is done by the battery, and this work done will be stored in the form of energy between the plates of the capacitor. Clear? So suppose another charge dq, if I am transferring from second plate to first plate, it will again gain positive, it will gain negative. So now electric field between the plates is getting stronger, right? So now if I am transferring a third charge dq, then I have to do more work because the force of repulsion is increasing. That means to establish a charge on the plates of the capacitor, battery has to do some work, and this work done is not constant, right? It is not constant because the force keeps on increasing, and if force is variable, work done will be variable. So we have to take the help of integration. We'll have to integrate this in order to calculate the work done. Clear? Okay. What is the work done in transferring a charge dq? Let us say dw. Clear? Work done is equals to dq into potential difference between the plates, let it be V. Clear? Charge into voltage. Okay. So this is the work done by the battery to transfer a charge dq from negative to positive, or from second plate to first plate. So this will be dq. What is V? Q by C. Clear? This is just the work done in transferring a charge dq, right? Suppose I am establishing a charge q from 0. Initially this was neutral. So from a neutral plate I am establishing a charge q on the first plate. So total work done will be calculated only by integrating. Whenever your force is variable, in such cases work done is calculated by integration. Right, so total work done to establish a charge 0 to q will be q dq upon c. Capacitance is constant, can be taken outside. Integration of dw will be w. 0 to q, q dq. what is the integration of q dq? Q square by 2. So work done will be q square by 2c, limit 0 to q. So work done will be q square by 2c. This work done will be equals to the change in potential energy, or this is the energy stored between the plates of the capacitor in the form of electric field, and this work is done by the battery. So some work has to be done by the battery to charge the capacitor. Clear? Right? Now we'll discuss about potential energy. Yes, one more thing. You can still rewrite this formula. What is Q? CV. So this can be written as C square V square by 2C, half CV square. Still I can continue with this theory, like half of the energy is stored, half the energy is lost, but that is not required in your this question. You just have to derive this. So energy stored is half CV square. Clear? So now we'll discuss about the potential energy of a dipole. Okay, so this one is a third answer. Potential energy of a dipole placed in a uniform electric field, right? See, a dipole is placed in an electric field. Let this be the center of the dipole. Dipole moment will be from minus to plus. So this is dipole moment, this is electric field. Let the angle between them be, you can say any, theta 1 or theta. Now this dipole is experiencing a torque, right? See, the dipole is not able to perform translation motion, it is performing rotational motion, right? So there is no linear work done. That means F dot D is not required, since the dipole is not able to perform translational motion, it is performing rotational motion. This is R, this is F, Q into E. This charge will experience a force Q into E. This will experience a force minus Q into E, right? So because of the force Q, E and minus Q, E, dipole is going to rotate in this manner. That means a torque will be acting on a dipole, which will try to rotate the dipole this way, and it will become parallel until the dipole becomes parallel to the uniform electric field. Clear? Clear? A force QE is applied from this side, a force of minus Q is applied on this side. This is the center of the dipole, so dipole is going to rotate this way, until it gets parallel to electric field. So this is the torque acting on the dipole. So torque acting on the dipole will be this way. It will try to rotate the dipole this way. Clear? Suppose I am applying an external torque to rotate the dipole from this position to some another position. So some work has to be done against the torque which is acting on the dipole. See, this torque is acting this way, that is in clockwise direction. This torque will rotate the dipole and will keep it parallel to the electric field, right? If this is the torque which is acting in clockwise, and if I want to keep this dipole, or I want to rotate this dipole from theta 1 to theta 2 in an anti-clockwise direction, so some work has to be done, right? Some work has to be done. I need to apply external torque in a direction opposite to the existing torque. Clear? At this particular point, dipole is experiencing a torque in clockwise direction, right? If I need to rotate the dipole in an anti-clockwise direction, I have to apply some torque, that is known as external torque, right? So some work has to be done to rotate the dipole in an anti-clockwise direction. Clear? This work done will be stored in the form of potential energy in the dipole. Like suppose if I am rotating the dipole from say any theta 1 to say theta 2. That means I am rotating the dipole from this position to this position. This is how. So this is I have to apply an external torque in an anti-clockwise direction against this torque. Clear? Right? So for that I need to do some work. Some work should be done by the external torque. This work done will be stored in the form of energy. Clear? Okay, now work done, we have studied F dot D if it is performing linear motion, or when F is constant. Here the dipole is not having any kind of linear or translational motion. So we'll go for tau into theta. But one thing is sure, you can use this formula only if torque is constant. In our case, torque is not constant because torque acting on a dipole depends on the angle Pe sin theta, and as theta is changing, torque will also change. So work done can be calculated by integration. Clear? Clear? What I will do? Just to rotate the dipole by any angle d theta, what is the amount of work done? I will find that and then I will integrate. Clear? Directly we cannot use this formula tau into theta because in our present case torque is not constant, it depends on angle and angle is changing, so torque will change, and if torque is changing we cannot find the work done directly by this formula. Okay, so now you have to rotate the dipole from 1 to any another position 2. Okay, so this work done will be, what is torque acting on a dipole? This already we had discussed in the video, Pe sin theta. Clear? Fine. P represents dipole moment, E represents electric field, remain constant, can be taken outside, sin theta d theta. Integration of sin theta is minus cos theta. Differentiation is plus, integration is minus. So work done is equals to Pe minus cos theta, theta 1 to theta 2. I can interchange the limits and will forget the negative sign. Work done will be Pe cos theta 1 minus cos theta 2. Clear? Clear? This work done is equals to the energy stored, change in potential energy. This much is the energy stored by the dipole when placed in an uniform electric field. Now suppose if initially the dipole, this is just the special case, right, is placed at this angle, that means the angle between P and E is 90. So initial angle is 90, right? What is the work required to be done? Means work done by the electric field to rotate this dipole from 90 to 0. Substitute here, work done is Pe cos 90 minus cos 0. So that is Pe 0 minus 1. So finally work done is minus P. Clear? Or general formula, we'll derive the general formula. Let us say that we are rotating the dipole from 90 to any angle theta. So this will be Pe 0 minus cos theta. So that is minus Pe cos theta. Clear? So A dot B, that was AB cos theta. So this can be written as P dot E. This is the energy stored energy stored in a dipole when placed in a uniform electric field. See, this is just one of the special case, right? If you have been said that find the work done to rotate the dipole from say most stable to most unstable position. So which is the most stable position? When dipole is placed parallel to electric field, that is when theta 1 is 0. Theta 1 is 0. That is the most stable position. Theta 1 is 0, most stable position. Clear? And if I am rotating this from 0 to 180, so theta 2, when it is 180, it is most unstable position, because see, when a dipole is placed at 0 degree, okay, see, if you are being said to find the work done, to rotate the dipole from most stable to most unstable position. You don't have to write these things in your paper. Your derivation is completed when u is equals to minus p dot e. You have derived up to minus p dot e. When dipole, this is your electric field. When a dipole is placed this way, minus q plus q, dipole moment, electric field, that means when theta is 0, this is the most stable position. Dipole can remain in this position. This is plus, electric field will be, so plus will be attracted towards minus, minus will remain attracted towards plus. This is the most stable position. But if I am changing this, if I am rotating it in an 180 degree, so this will be plus, this will be minus, right? Dipole moment will be in this direction. Now this is the most unstable position. So when theta 1 is 0, stable position, theta 2 is 180, unstable position. So what is the work done to rotate the dipole from most stable to most unstable position? Substituting formula, PE cos theta 1 minus cos theta 2. Clear? PE cos 0 minus cos 180. PE 1 minus 1, 2 PE. Cos 180 is minus 1. This is the work done to rotate the dipole from most stable to most unstable position. You don't have to write this. This is just for your knowledge. This is just to explain you. In your exam, you have to derive u equals to minus p dot e. Clear? Okay. So the last answer, potential energy of system of charges. Suppose we'll start with the very simple case. Suppose there are two charges, only two charges, Q1, R1, R1 is the position vector, right? Q2, R2. What is the topic says potential energy of system of charges, where and how the potential energy comes in the charge. This is what we are going to discuss. See, we have placed two charges. Simplest case, we'll start with the simplest case, Q1 and Q2. Let R1 and R2 be the position vector of the charges. To establish this configuration, that means to bring the charges Q1 and Q2 at R1 and R2, some work has to be done. That means let us assume both Q1 and Q2 to be at infinite, right? To be at infinite. There is no electric field at infinite, there is no potential, there is no potential energy, right? So at infinite, work done equals to potential energy is 0. That means suppose both the charges were initially placed at infinite with respect to each other, with respect to origin. So potential energy is 0 at this distance, infinite distance. Now suppose I am bringing a charge Q1, from infinite to a point or infinite to a point P, right? I have brought a charge Q1 from infinite to a point P. Since the other charge was at infinite or other charges at infinite, no work has to be done to bring this charge Q1 because there is no electric field, there is no potential of any other charge. Then you don't need to do any work because work has to be done against the potential produced by the charge or against the electric field produced by the charge. Since when you are bringing the first charge, there was no electric field, no potential of any other charge. So work done to bring the charge Q1 is 0. Now, when a charge Q1 is placed here, this charge will produce electric field, will produce potential around it. It will produce some electric field, it will produce some potential around it, right? So now when you are bringing a charge Q2, now you need to do some work, right, to get this configuration, to get this arrangement, right? Suppose you are bringing a charge Q2 from infinite to this point, you have to do some work against the electric field of this charge, or clear, or the potential produced by the charge q1 on q2. Clear? Because now q1 is at a finite distance of r1. So when a charge is placed at a finite distance, it will produce its electric field, it will produce potential around it. Clear? So how to calculate this work done? So q1 will not have any potential energy. The potential energy of the charge q1 will be 0, because in order to bring this charge, you don't need to do any kind of work. Clear? Clear? Okay. Now I am bringing the charge q2 from infinite to a point, any point r. For that, you have to perform some work against the electric field produced by q1, or the potential which is being produced at q2 because of q1. Clear? Now, what is the potential of charge q1? Potential of charge q1 here, this is let this distance be r12, right? So potential of q1 will be k q1 by r12. Potential due to a point charge is kq by r. So this is the potential which is being produced by this charge q1 at point r. Clear? So now work done to bring the charge q2 will be equals to, work done is equals to the potential energy. Actually it is the difference in the energy, but initial reference is infinite, right? I am not defining potential at this particular point. I am writing as potential difference, v of say any point, v of r minus v of infinite. This is how I am defining, but the potential at infinite is 0, right? So potential energy, work done to bring the charge q2 is equals to potential energy, right, at point r, which is equals to charge multiplied by potential difference. Potential difference, that means v infinite minus v of r. Clear? Or v of r minus v of infinite. V of infinite is 0. So potential energy is q2 into v of r. What is that? What is the potential produced by q1? K q1 upon r12. Clear? See, we'll understand it once again. In order to establish this configuration of charge q1 and q2, first we will assume both the charges to be at infinite, and at infinite there is no electric field, there is no potential. So whenever you are bringing the first charge, you don't have to do any kind of work, because there is no electric field of any other charge, right? There is no potential of any other charge, so work need not to be done, right? So to bring the charge q1 from infinite to any position r1, work done is 0. But when it is placed at a distance r1, it will produce electric field, it will produce potential around it. So when now you are bringing any another charge from infinite, you have to perform some work against the field produced. So this work done will be stored in the form of potential energy inside the charge. Clear? Right? So potential energy is charge multiplied by the potential which is being produced by the first charge at r. So q2 into potential of a point charge is kq by r, r12 be the distance, so kq1 by r12, right? So potential energy of these two charges will be kq1 q2 by r12. Clear? So for the system of two charges, the total potential energy of both the charges will be kq1 q2 by r12, because first charge is not having any potential energy stored in it. If there are more than two charges, then suppose, right, we have taken two charges, let us take three or more than three charges. You can take any number of charges. Suppose I am placing q1 here, q2, Q3. For this type of arrangement, what should be the potential energy of the system? Let this distance be, say, R12, R23, R13. Clear? Right? When Q1 is brought, first they were at infinite. When Q1 charge is brought, no work is to be done. So that means potential energy stored Q1 will be 0. Right? When you are bringing another charge Q2, then the potential of Q1 and the electric field of Q1 will be there here. So some work has to be done. This is what we have seen when only two charges were there. Right? So that means potential of Q1 at Q2 will be K Q1 by R12. Right? Let us name this 1, 2 and 3. Potential of 1, 2. So potential energy of 2 will be K, potential energy of 2 will be Q2 multiplied by potential of 1. So that is K Q1 Q2 by R12. Now, when you are bringing the third charge, you will find the potential of 1 at this point. Also, Q2 will now produce some potential at third. So, total potential at third will be potential produced by first charge, potential produced by second charge. That means it will be K Q1 upon R13 plus K Q2 upon R23. So what will be the total energy stored on the charge in the charge Q3? So total energy stored will be charge multiplied by potential. So that is Q3 times K Q1 by R13 plus K Q2 by R23. So this will be K Q1 Q3 upon R13 plus K Q2 Q3 upon R23. If I am taking fourth charge, then you will have to take the potential of all the charges on fourth charge. Clear? So this is the potential energy stored in third charge. This is the potential energy stored in second charge, and there is no potential energy stored in first charge. So the system of three charges, total potential energy will be, or it can be written as first, second, third. First charge, there is no potential energy, 0. Second will have an energy K Q1 Q2 by R12. Third will have the energy K Q2 Q3 upon R23 plus K Q3 Q1 upon R13. Clear? This is how you can find the potential energy of the system of charges, right? You can have this many pairs, n into n minus 1 by 2. This is the formula to calculate the total pairs of energy formed. That means just now we are having three charges, clear, and three charges. So the pairs formed is 1 plus 2 plus 3. You can count this way. 3, n represents the number of charges, into 3 minus 1 divided by 2. So it will be 3 into 2 by 2. That is 3. If there are 4 charges, place here 4 into 3 by 2. So it will have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Clear? So this is just the formula to calculate the pairs of energy formed, right? This is what is total energy stored inside the charge, potential energy stored inside the charge, right? So we have completed all the answers, very important answers, right, of this chapter. In the next video, we will solve the sums of this chapter. Clear?